I get it when a friend tells you they're thinking about adding a thermal option to their day scope. The first thing they're worried about is throwing money at something that might just sit in the back of the gun rack. They're picturing a pricey full-size thermal rifle scope that they'll only break out once a year, and they're also wondering if the extra weight and learning curve are worth it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes, I'll walk through why the ATN Tico 6 clip-on could actually be the sweet spot for that just-in-case upgrade, and I'll also point out the moments when it's better to keep scrolling. First off, let's step back from the spec sheet and think about the problem a thermal clip-in solves. You already have a day optic you're comfortable with, maybe a 330 variable that you've zeroed, that you trust for windage, and that you already know how to mount. The Tico 6 literally clips onto that existing scope, turning the whole assembly into a thermal camera in seconds. That's a different buying experience than swapping your whole rifle for a dedicated thermal system. It's the kind of plug-and-play you want when you're hunting early morning deer and the light is just a whisper, or when you're out on a night shoot and you need a quick glance at a moving silhouette without lugging a second rifle. What really sets the Tico 6 apart, beyond the convenience of the clip-in, is the 6th generation sensor with a 20 mK NETD rating. In plain English, that means it can tease out temperature differences that are barely a fraction of a degree apart. In a field where you're trying to tell the difference between a warm-blooded animal and a cold patch of grass, that extra sensitivity can be the difference between a clean shot and a missed opportunity. The sensor feeds an AI-driven image enhancement engine. ATN calls it SHARPIR, that sharpens edges and cleans up the picture in real time. I've seen this in practice when tracking a coyote that was just a few feet off a rocky ledge. The AI made the outline pop just enough that I could lock on without having to guess. The little OLED display on the unit, about a third of an inch, but packed with 800,600 pixels, gives you a crisp, high-contrast view that's surprisingly easy to read, even when you're wearing gloves. Because it's built into the clip-in, you don't need to stare down a separate screen or flip a toggle on your day scope. The display updates fast enough that you can track a moving target and still have time to adjust your hold. That's a practical benefit if you've ever tried to juggle a thermal feed on a phone while the animal is already moving out of range. Another feature that shows up a lot in user forums is the ability to record video and stream it over Wi-Fi. For hunters who like to document a hunt, or for anyone doing wildlife research, having a built-in recorder means you can capture what you see without attaching a separate camcorder. The Wi-Fi link pairs with a smartphone app, letting you review footage on the spot or even share a live feed with a spotter who's standing a few yards away. It's a small convenience that adds up, especially if you're teaching a rookie or showing a client what the thermal image looks like in real time. Now, who should actually buy this? If you already own a day scope and you want a thermal upgrade without buying a whole new rifle setup, you're in the sweet spot. It's a solid choice for deer hunters who hunt during the gray hours of dawn and dusk, where the temperature differential is subtle and you need that extra edge. It also works nicely for tactical shooters who need a lightweight thermal option for night patrols, but don't want to carry a second rifle. And for wildlife photographers who want to capture nocturnal behavior without setting up a separate thermal camera, the clip-in gives a hands-free, mount-ready solution. On the flip side, if you're looking for a thermal system that will reliably hit targets at 800 or 1,000 yards, you might be better off with a dedicated thermal rifle scope that's designed with longer range optics in mind. The Tico 6 inherits the magnification and field of view of the day scope you pair it with. So if your day scope is a 330, you'll still be limited to that range. That's fine for most mid-range hunts, but can feel cramped when you're after big game at distance. Also, if you don't already own a compatible day scope, you'll end up buying two pieces of gear, which can erode the cost savings the clip-in promises. There are a few practical trade-offs to keep in mind. Because the unit attaches to your existing optic, it adds a bit of front-end weight, roughly a few ounces, but enough that the balance of the